When I talk to people around the league, they're like, well, maybe like who's the next star available? I don't know if Embiid's going to be that guy who would want to ask out. Like my feeling with him is like he wants to be like Kobe in Philly, where he plays his whole career. He wants to be that type of guy. I think for Philly, Morey and that front office, if this year ends up they're in the lottery and they're hoping to get lucky on lottery night and keep their pick, it's top 6 protected this year. Otherwise, it goes to OKC. If it ends up being that, I don't think he's going to jump ship this offseason. I think Philly's going to try to reload and then come back again next year even better. Obviously, challenges there. Who knows if all the role players will come back, but is that accurate to say that about Embiid?
He's a lifer. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, that's the cool thing about some of these guys. Like, you look at, I'm fortunate to work with some of these guys that like Jason, who gets drafted into Boston. He's not leaving Boston. You know what I mean? He loves Boston. He has a connection with the fan base. He wants to hang as many banners for the Celtics as he can. Joel, he's been through the ups and downs of, Philly. And,
a lot of ups and downs.
A lot of ups and downs. But you know
Peanut
what?
allergies.
Like, I mean, trust me.
The
like
yips.
one day when the actual story is like revealed, it's gonna be a documentary.
Burner Twitter accounts.
Everyone is gonna have to buckle up. But
what could he? Did he not deal? Like he checked the boxes for everything. What did he not deal
they've
with?
reinvented new things that
new
you could possibly go through. It's like one of those multiple choice questions where you start adding bubbles to it.
A co-star that shoots with the wrong hand and Ben Simmons.
It's just
Did you ever talk to Ben Simmons about switching to his right hand?
No, honestly,
No?
I mean, I trust me. I only work with guys that come to me. I never really approach other players. And there's obviously things that when I look at his game or look at his shot, I was like, okay, if I was training him, this is what I would do. And that's how I started working with Maxey. To be honest with you, when Maxey was starting out, Joel was like, dude, this guy's going to be good. He's like, I think he has a lot of Brad Beal in him, and that was when he was like, he's like, you should work with him. He's like, if you can develop him into a little bit more of like a killer, a little bit more of a scorer, a little bit more of a playmaker, just like start adding to his game. Did we think 2 years later that he was going to be, guy that was an all-star last year, this year averaging 27 a game? No. Like we didn't
playmaking. He's 6-7 assists per game too.
So, I mean, I think we're going to see him just continue to, get better and better. But, with the Ben thing, obviously watching all of Joel's games, being in Philadelphia, working with Joel all the time, there were a lot of things that I thought like, okay, if I worked with him, this is what it would be. But to be honest with you, it wasn't necessarily a jump shot would be the first thing. The first thing I thought was always moving him to the 4 and making him more of a Draymond Green type player. I thought he would have been so unbelievable nice. With somebody handling the ball, him setting screens, him rolling, him playmaking, because he is an elite passer. He had the ability to get downhill and finish in transition really well in his prime. And so I was like, if you get him in those 3-on-2s, 2-on-1s, that's what made Draymond, so good. So I think that, I
almost wanted the Warriors to trade for him at one point. I'm like, put him behind Draymond, and
I agree. But I always thought that was the biggest thing. So I know that like people wanted him to shoot more threes and wanted him to, change his hand in his jump shot or change his mechanics, which I think all made sense. You know what I mean? I definitely wouldn't have had his elbow that far. I would have moved his elbow in. I would have definitely, done some things. But the first thing I would have done is made him a Draymond Green type 4 player, because I think that in the transition, I would have loved it. I would have said, if you get a rebound, go. Because he was great in transition. But then in the half court, now you're the 4-man.
Yes.
And I think
it looks like with the Clippers, maybe that actually is happening. Now he's paired with Harden there. And we saw in that first game with the Clippers, he's running some elbow action, dribble handoffs. Harden obviously runs the show there. Maybe this is finally the situation where it can happen, playing as a small ball 5 behind Zubats. Like, this could be it. It's not his prime anymore physically, but maybe now is in a position where he can actually accept that role. And I mean, the Clippers, similar, they're one of these teams not on the list of the historical contenders, but if Kawhi gets back to being Kawhi and Harden continues playing at this level and Norman Powell continues playing, and if Simmons continues fitting and all these other pieces, maybe they play themselves back into it, and then Simmons is in that role with the Clippers right now.
Yeah, no, I think I definitely, when they made the move, I thought it was intriguing, just because you think of, if Kawhi's healthy, Kawhi, bigger, longer, taller defender. Ben, bigger, longer, taller defender. They can cause some matchup problems. James, such an elite playmaker. Norman Powell having an unbelievable season. So you're going, man, you know what I mean? They've got some pieces, and there's so much to shake out in the West. You know what I mean? There's so much to shake out in the West. Obviously, OKC looks so dominant right now. So much depth. Shea playing at an MVP level.
He's awesome.
And then getting Chet back, you know what I mean? And throwing him in the lineup. iHeart's been unbelievable pickup for them. So you look at them and you're like, okay, they're probably the team to beat. But then you still got like Jokic out there in Denver, who I'm like, you're not betting against him.